करू
So
सुरू.
everybody knows Ravi Bala. She has given us various talks, and this is going to be exciting because of it's all the adventures that she has. You know, this is more personal experience. I think. Let's see what it is, and just enjoy it. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Srikanji. And all the eager participants, those who are there, will make the best of it. Thank you. Well, I must thank Jyoti first of all, कारण तिने अगदी लावूनच धरलं. She mentioned that she would like to hear, and then we all agreed upon it. Today's subject, as you have read what Srikanji had shared, the need of adventures in life. So, to start with, I would like to quote one small incident about Anthony Robbins. Anthony Robbins is a great motivational speaker of USA and of the world also, and I take him as my guru in the motivational field. So, he asked a question to his audience that how many of you like adventure? And almost everybody, raised their hands. And then he asked a second question, how many of you like uncertainties? And almost nobody raised the hand. So he said that they are of the same coin, two parts, so two sides of the same coin, uncertainty and adventure. So I was fortunate to experience a number of adventures in life, even though I'm very sure that my definition of adventure and whatever each one of you must have faced in life, especially now addressing the audience today in USA, I feel that getting away from your comfort zone, from your own country, like India or any other country, and then settling here, I feel to me is an adventure because we need a lot of flexibility. We need all the preparedness of our mind to try out something new. When we are not aware or we are not sure that what will be, will it be a success or what will be the result of taking my venturing out of or doing something new. So for me, adventure is, or for everybody for that matter, I would like to put it this way that adventure is experiencing something new, challenging, where possibility is unknown, there is a lot of risk, then without knowing where it will take us. uh, I'm going to look at it as my inner journey and related to even to yoga or my original field like NLP, and that is, we all know that mind and body are parts of the same system. So Advait, so all these years I have realized that if we do some physical adventure, it helps us to build within our mind. And we all, I'm sure you all understand a bit of Hindi at least. So I will say that I always say it in my workshops that whenever you feel low on the mind level, uh, the badan, yeah, body tells that mai hu na. And if you are feeling low on the body level, the mind tells "Main hu na." So it helps us to build within whenever you are doing any adventurous activities. It also helps to face any adversities in life. You can take it in your stride quite a few things. Otherwise, those who have not come out of the comfort zone, those who have not done something new in life, what happens is initially or when any difficulties are coming, we all realize that our flexibility power, our stress level, it all is relative. For me, doing something new, it is very very, or adventure is very very subjective and relative also. So additional venturing out has a very positive connotation, like adventure has a positive connotation. It makes us feel excited, energized, thrilled, curious. Also there are hidden fears, risks, anxieties, But when we surmount that, we truly explore our inner self. And for me, I look at it this way, that it is much more than any cheap thrill, adrenaline heightening or enhancing venturing. It releases endorphins, which are useful for handling any stress and depression. It triggers positive feelings. Adventures are, as I said, are very relative, so we do not need any validation for that. If I have done something new, it's an adventure for me, and I feel so good about it. Whether we succeed or no, it hardly matters. But I have tried something new. It's something, it gives us a lot of strength. Then it makes us feel good about our own trying and testing our own abilities and potential. So and then when there is a feeling of winning, we definitely come out of our fears, and it's a great success. Even if we do not win or succeed for the first time, or we do not succeed at all, I feel that it gives us a feedback that, these are my limitations. Also, it helps us to make new plan of action. Another thing, why do we need adventures, is for nurturing our mental health, and also learning new strengths, then expanding our horizons. Best part is, as I have realized always, and I'm sure you all also must have realized, that after first adventure, we are all hungry for more, so we want to try out something new. Then it helps us to make our daily life richer. And then when we are doing some mundane things, we need some life to be refreshed. So new perspective, we want to deal with the same situation. All this we get by doing some adventures in life. Then it's so exciting that it the adventures give us a new light to deal with the world. Then you must have realized that also, that it builds friendships, because when we share our adventures with somebody and they also share their adventures, we feel, wow, that exchanging the moments, exciting moments, and we can build lasting bonds also. So coming out of our boredom, especially now in today's pandemic things, when there are limitations in our on our going out and trying out new things, though we know that there are n number of adventurous things available in the world, I'll come to the list of whatever we can do in the limited circumstances also. So learning new language, traveling to a new city, going to the top of a tall building, or cycling certain miles, climbing and reaching to the top, at the top of the mountain. Then I also follow Wim Hof. So Wim Hof is he's a great climber, and he has got 26 records on his career, and that he climbed Everest with bare feet and without a shirt. His way of breathing, you can Google, it's something different, that how fast breathing is there and fast exhalation is there. They are just wonderful. They make our immune system very strong. So Wim Hof is another great person. Then running a marathon, traveling alone to any new city, scuba diving, gliding. I have done gliding myself. Then hang gliding, skydiving I have done. Then going whitewater rafting, again I have done that. Then selecting a new career or a path less traveled in any field are all adventures for me. The things which we have not done till date. Then take a road trip, and that's a wonderful idea, that go to Nebraska. Don't decide on the destination until you go far away, and then just stay there. Pack a little bit of everything and then see where the road takes you. Then immerse in the culture of a foreign country. So we do gain a lot of different perspective. Coming out of our comfort zone is the main thing. So, releasing our own inner explorer. एंड एज आई सेड, मन और शरीर का जो अद्वैत है उसके लिए जो जो हम कर सकते हैं वी कैन डू दैट. Volunteering is something we can do, and meeting unknown people and fields from different class, creed, and religion. Okay, now this is a list. Another small list I feel is in today's limited circumstances is take a new road to reach home, or use the hand which we have not used, which we do not use otherwise, you know. So this way the right brain and left brain, so these brain exercises, that also is, you know, adventuring, because not able to eat with the left hand, or those who are righties, they can do the other way around. Now the best thing is we don't need anyone's, as I said, anyone's validation. So trying and stretching our abilities, but while doing it, we want the enjoyment. That's the main thing. Now let me take you to a small metaphor which NLP gives me, and I feel that each one of you can think about own your own metaphor. For me, metaphor for my life is an adventure. So what happens is, anything and everything, whatever happens in life, fits into that metaphor. So even if there are adverse situations, even if we want to try again, you know, when I'm climbing the mountain, suppose if I'm not able to reach the top, but however my goal is to reach the top, then I have to come down, go try for another road, and then reach the top. So this flexibility, not giving up, bouncing back capacity, my usual, you know, very, I like that concept very much. So that all this one gets from this. Like suppose if you choose that yoga is life is yoga, so the flexibility, and then you know, you again coming out of the comfort zone, everything fits into that. So I'm just introducing you to a new NLP concept, and that is what metaphor will you like to choose. Like suppose if you say life is an ocean, or life is a swimming pool, then all these things, you know, I'm just giving you an idea. Now, I definitely would like to share a few things, as you had requested that what all the things I went through, and then we'll come back to this particular slightly inner journey. You can ask for yourself. Okay, so I will, you know, farmland, but they had cleared the ground, and then they had. Uh, Used the white powder to show the circle which one can see from the aircraft. And then when we are sitting in the aircraft noise is so much that we have to use only the body language to talk to each other. So there is a jump master who is sitting at the gate. There is a co-pilot and the main pilot, and we all are about 14 of us were in one batch. We were sitting in the aircraft. So when one person sits at the you know, he what do you say, like what asan I can say. Anyway, we fold with folded legs, we sit there. One hand we are keeping to one part of the door, and the other back hand we are holding the other part of the gate, and there is no this thing, a door to the aircraft, so we are sitting there. And then the jump master is sitting just near the gate, and we have about 6 kilo of reserve parachute on our stomach, the 8 kilos of main parachute, about 35 feet long and 45 feet in the width is the this thing of the parachute. We have to pack it extremely carefully, that so that it will open properly in the air. And then we have packed it on our back, and then we have got about 3 kilos of shoes, and then we are putting a dangri. Dangri is a loose aircraft, I mean Air Force kind of uniform, because we have to be very very comfortable in our dress. And then when the jump master tells us, that you have to jump out, so he makes a sign to the co-pilot that close the throttle. So what he does is he turns his finger on the neck, as if one knife is going, so as if somebody's cutting the throat, so like that. So we see that, and then he pats hard on our thigh, and then he says, "Jump!" Jump! The moment he says that, one is supposed to jump out. But if we hesitate, what happens is the jump master, he just kicks you out of the aircraft, because they say they you waste the fuel of the aircraft. So he just kicks you out. So each one was going. This is the first. You can see, I had jumped out, and somebody had clicked that, and then when I jumped out, when my turn came, I, I mean, before that, if somebody else, somebody puts a hand out, the hand goes zoop like that, because there is a wind blowing. And when I jumped out, I was all my head down and then feet up, and then I thought, now I'm gone, because I was going down like anything, and then I didn't know we are supposed to open the parachute, but then if we can't, then they have put one altimeter on our shoulder, and then we have to unless if in case we don't pull the that cord, if it opens, because it is set at one particular about 3000 feet or something, and then it opens automatically. There is a small thread which is attached to our parachute, and which is the second part is near the jump master's foot. So it there's a small thread, and then when we jump out, it that hooks comes out, and then we are in the air. So I couldn't open my parachute, but then it was automatically designed, so it got opened. And then when I started coming out, I realized that oh my God, we have to now focus on this thing, the jump field. So I have to pull the toggles, because okay, the first thing is when I was in the air, and then when I realized that the parachute has opened, I felt, wow, I'm not going down now. So I looked around, and then I could see a beautiful Taj Mahal there. And I could see that the aeroplane had just left me, and then it has gone again to the for taking a circle, and then another person was going to be dropped. So that moment in my life, for the first time, I felt extremely lonely, that nobody is going to help me, but only I have to focus on whatever the instructions are, whatever the training we have gone through about for about 3 weeks, a rigorous training, that jumping out, flying in the air, and at the same time, how to land properly, safely on the ground. Because then one important message they had taught us, and that is, don't reach out for the land, but let the land come to you. Because 500, 1000 feet, all the trees and the men and the land becomes, we can't make out at what height we are. So it's so illusioning that we can't make out, so when you touch the land, that time you are supposed to roll your body. So we were taught different kinds of rolls, side rolls, then front rolls, and all those things. So we had to be very very flexible in our body, and also strong while coming down. So first landing, my parachute just pulled me, and then I was thump like that on the ground, and then I had made many mistakes. I felt so bad. My God, I didn't do anything, not a single thing I must have done well. So then other people, those who had landed first, they all came and then helped me, because that parachute with the full air blown, it was pulling me. But then they came, and then we all came to the three tonner, that big truck by which we had come. And then I was saying, my God, I made so many mistakes. Then everybody said, Arey, don't worry, we all have made a mistake, So I said, oh, fine. Then the jump master, after we gathered, he told us what all the mistakes you have done and how you have to improve and all. So after that second jump I did well, and the third jump, that day the wind was so much that we just earlier to me there were two boys who one of them, he had fractured his leg. They were all in the sugarcane farms they had gone. And then it was very difficult, later on we came to know. And when I did my jump, it was so bad. I was pulled, and I was, that back was hurt badly and all those things. So I said, now I had got a big jolt. I said, now let me go and go back to Pune as long as all my feet and hands are fine. So I told my that dealer who had done my booking. So I said, I want to go back. Will you please book my ticket? And I came back to the federation, to the institute. When the jump master Major Goswami, he heard that I'm going back, you know what his reaction was? No way you're going home, because this is an aerial sport and you have excellent memories of this. So you're going to do at least one jump and then go. So I said, my God, that's so difficult, because I was so afraid. 2 days were extremely difficult for me to overcome my fear. One important, very good thing was I didn't have to open my reserve parachute, because sometimes what happens is, if the main parachute doesn't open, then the reserve parachute has to be opened, and sometimes they both get entangled. So it can be a fatal accident also. So he said, there are so many good things. You haven't fractured your leg. You didn't have to open the reserve parachute. You are all good. You're going to jump again. So those 2 days, it really built me up inside. And what skydiving gave me, till today I remember. Honestly, I'm telling you that I'm not afraid of death, because when it comes, it comes. It's not only the spiritual way, but otherwise. So anyway, then the I did my fourth jump, and that was so good, and the fifth also. And then I realized that, wow, I could do it, and that was a great success from my angle. If I would have just come defeated, maybe I would have carried that failure feeling all my life. So that was something. This is the way we were packing the parachute. And this is a certificate which I had got. Anyway, so now, 1 minute. This is. Could you hear me? What I was saying? Was it interesting? Was it good?
Very well. It was very good. Very well.
Yes,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank
Yes,
you,
it
thank
was.
you.
it is very interesting.
Okay, just in short, I'm sorry, I'm not having my 1 minute. How much time have I taken? So it is 8:30. Fine. Now, just a few things. This is I did my Kailash Mansarovar Yatra, and that was in 96, 97. So what I will do is, I'll show you a few pictures. This is Mr. Yashwant Sinha, who had greeted us before we left for Kailash Sarovar. And then this is the way you can see the front. Can you see? I'm sharing the screen. Can you see it?
No.
Yes.
Huh. So this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and then yeah, this is one picture I wanted to show. This was on the way to Kailash Sarovar, and you can see the next mountain. You can see in Himalaya right now. Also, you must have heard the big accident, like in Rudraprayag, how that flood has come. So many a times there are avalanches, and then these rocks become so loose, and it's terrible. So 1 minute. This is what I wanted to show you. Huh. This particular mud fall, we were going through that, and you can see at the left hand side there are people. So there was no place at all to cross this because the whole landslide was there, and it was so difficult to cross and go ahead, So we just didn't know what to do. Then somebody, the villagers, they put a small stone there, and then each one of us had to put a foot on that small stone and then jump to the other side. So when we each one of us started going, it was extremely dangerous, and all this because of the landslide. This mud fall was coming, and then you can see at the right hand side there is a small what do you say, a small patch of soil you can see. So it is not actually the soil. It is all the loose. What do you say? कीचड़ कीचड़ बोलते हैं उसको, क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में? चिखल.
Chikhal.
हाँ, चिखल. So
muck.
Sorry. What do you?
It's the muck, chikkal.
Huh. Anyway, so when I went that way, and then we were supposed to go ahead. That blue shirt guy is seeing there. From there we have to go straight. When I reached there, you won't believe what happened is it was all loose mud, So my whole leg went inside that, and then up to the thigh, I went there, and then I thought, here again there is a valley, so I'm gone. So in spite of taking so much of precaution in mountains, one has to really be very cautious, and especially in such cases in Himalaya, this extremely, the risks are there. So we were supposed to go to from the left side where that man is going, that blue shirt wala. But then I went there, I thought from here the road is there because there was nobody to show us the road. So when I went there and when I got really stuck in that, a small porter of about 12 years, he just came, like God sent, and he pulled my hand, and then I came from there. So that way I was completely saved going into the valley that day. So that was something terrible. So this way many falls are there. 1 minute. This is Om Parvat. This you can see that Om sign there. So this is in Indian territory, and here all 24/7 this snow is there. So this is called a Chota Kailash. So that is something, and there are usually some accidents, one helicopter and one small aeroplane, and everything had fallen down. So anyway, 1 minute. I wanted to show you. This is Mansarovar, and about 80 feet long, 80 feet broad, 85 feet broad. 3 days, not 80 kilometers, I mean. So 3 days we were doing the parikrama, that is going around the Mansarovar, very crystal clear water. And one day we walked 42 kilometers. That was quite a lot for us, mainly because there is all sand and then bushy, the whole area was. So this is Kailash Parvat. This is a great view from one place. And here was only at one place we can see from Mansarovar, we could see Kailash. You can see at the horizon, there is Kailash. So that was that. This is another side of Kailash. But you won't believe that when we first started we do all the, what do you say, puja and all at the Kailash foothills. Okay. So here I will stop that. And then 1 minute. One or two other things. Okay, what I was saying that I teach at Muktangan. For me, this is also an adventure because about 150 addicted men, and I teach there. And I feel this is Dr. Anil Outset. I regularly go there and teach. So these are the Muktangan thing I wanted to show. The latest things I would like to show you. This is okay. This I teach at the all the conductors and drivers of Pune. I teach stress management, and this is also something, woman teaching there. I feel it was an adventure for me. And then they gave such beautiful feedback that made my day. Then very recently, like last year, I did water rafting at New Zealand, and this was at the Rotorua place. This what do you say? It is the famous river in New Zealand, and here this was the tallest place where we did 21 feet fall was there. One of my friends and myself, we did this. So this was the um, water rafting. And one more thing I would like to show you is skydiving. 1 minute. The sky walk I just did last year. So that was something I wanted to show. Then in Sri Lanka, I did the scooter this thing, and it was the real adrenaline rush, Anyway, so these were a few things. Now I would like to. There are quite a few, like taking part as in Mrs. Pune contest. I was Mrs. Pune, so
Yeah.
thank you. Then
Which year was this, Ravi Bala? Which year was this?
2011. Now, can you see Dr. Outset?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay,
What
these
the
are all
name
the
of your
water
group?
rafting things. This skywalk. Can you see the skywalk now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This was when I did my rock climbing for the first time. I must tell you this story. This is about 80 feet rock at Purandar, and it is a stomach rappelling which I did. It was completely parallel to the ground. We have to come with the belay, that is with the ropes, and that was extremely difficult. You can imagine one person has to come down from the rock with a patient on the back. That's why the stomach rappelling is there. So that's how I did that for the first time. 1 minute. Huh? Okay. So now I will talk to you. There are quite a few, but I won't like to. This, can you see Muktangan? Can you see this small one?
Yes.
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 Okay. Um, okay. Right now I'll stop here because I won't like to bore you. This something I would like to share. This is Avinash Dharmadikari. I am taking the UPSC students interviews. Can you see this? Can you see this? No?
It's the same photo which you
The
showed
same.
that time that you're addressing the.
Oh,
You're
at-
teaching.
now?
No, the
It's
same.
the same one. It's
This
the
is the
same
same
photo.
Muktangan photo that we see.
Oh, okay. I'll stop sharing then. It's okay. There are now 2, 3 things I would like to share. There are quite a lot, but I won't like to bore you with that. There are other things like some experiences I would like to share about this. One is when I was telling you about that whitewater rafting, the most beautiful thing was there were Maoris, the instructors were the local people, the aborigines of New Zealand.
Hmm.
And they, what they made us do is they took the inflated boat at one corner. When we went, actually about 1/3 of it, we were going for the drops, and then they took us there, and then they said that, are you all sure that you really want to do the whitewater rafting? And we all said yes. He said, then we all will pray. And then they prayed in their own language. The prayer was for the river, that you take us safely throughout and make us play with you, like this. It was so touching, I tell you. And then there was a very serene atmosphere, and we all sincerely prayed the river. So that had touched me. Then about I did quite a lot of mountaineering in Maharashtra. There are many forts, like great Shivaji had built so many forts. So Raigad was the fort when we had gone. That story I would like to just share with you. That when we all went, we had to cross. There is a river called Gunjavni. So when we were crossing, there was a small canal kind of a thing, but even then, that speed of the water was lot. So what we all did, about 12 of us were there. So the best way to cross a river is make a circle and then say one, two, three, and each one steps takes a step at one time. So nobody gets driven by the force. So that way we crossed the river. We stayed at the fort at night. That night, due to monsoon, and we all had gone for the monsoon treks in India, in Maharashtra especially, we all love doing monsoon treks. So especially when we are going in through the paddy fields, that when we were going this time at the Rayagad, about again ankle high or knee high, the mud is there, and we have to put our foot, one foot take out and go like that, thump thump thump, like that we have to cross the paddy fields. So that day at night when we stayed there, that time the most rain of that season occurred. And then when we came down, we realized that that small Gunjavni river had become a like big river, and then flow of the water was so much, it was impossible to cross it. But then these our leaders, being very seasoned trekkers, they all were carrying the big ropes. So with the help of the villagers, they put the rope from one end to the other, and then one by one we were supposed to cross that river. So my younger daughter was in front of me, and I was quite worried about her, whether she will go safely or no. And I was behind. And then when we reached halfway, she went along very well because somebody else was helping her. But when I reached the halfway through, and just my concentration or my attention focus went off, and then I got slipped. So only thing was that big rope was there in my hand, and the flow of the water is so gigantic that I just couldn't stand. And I was trying my best, and I knew now this is not the end of my life. This is not. I was praying that I want to stand. I just couldn't do that. And as God sent, one villager came. He came, as in a perpendicular way, not the with the flow. He came, tirchi aisa aaya, then he held my stomach, and then I mean stomach in the sense he held me, and then he made me stand. So that way, I mean, it was quite a memorable moment for my life. Another thing is, last 1.5 years back, we had gone to Hawaii, and all of us, our family members, and then unfortunately, we were near the beach only, but I always have been taking calculated risk. I'm not taking overdue risk. That is the reason why I have not done bungee jumping also as yet, because I know that it may be injurious, and then who will look after you and all those things, but I still want to do. Anyway, so I am always very careful near the beach only, near the sand. Unfortunately, the wave came and I caught into the current, and I did not know that it was the current. And each time I was trying my best and I was getting caught, going away from the shore, and I just didn't know what to do. I was feeling so helpless. So I started shouting, "Help, help." Then my son-in-law, he saw me that, I need help. He was asking, "Auntie, you need help?" I said, "Yes." So, but I was afraid that because of me, nothing should happen to him. But then he came, he just held my hand, and in a fraction of a second, I was out of the current. And then that really, gave me goosebumps, goose pimples, whether, something still needs to be done through me. God is saving me like that. And how NLP helped me is when we came to the shore, no, we came to the hotel, and then I was still having the shudders that how I was caught in the current, and I did my how to get rid of the past baggages, and I just immediately came out of my that particular experience, and now today I am detached. Even last year we went to Konkan, but I can still swim in the ocean. Otherwise, one would have taken that fear, and I wouldn't have gone. So anyway, these were a few points. One interesting small incidents I would like to say is Pindari and Kafni glaciers we had gone, and then they are about 12,000 feet. So above 10,000 feet are all high altitude treks in Himalaya. So the funniest part was I would like to share with you is when we were going, we were seeing it's a no man's land. There was not a single bush, not a single tree, and we were walking and walking. It was a group of about 15 people, and then we were seeing the milestones buried in the snow called zero point, so zero point, we are waiting, wow, now zero point is coming and we are going to the destination. When are we reaching? All were tired and we were just waiting, and we had to go and then pitch the tents in the ice. So we went there, and then we thought that now we have to make our own food. I don't know how we are going to do. We are all tired. It's so cold there. And then we saw one small, एक झोपड़ी जैसी. It's not, but it's made of rocks. So we were wondering who is there. I mean, we were so surprised that for miles and miles there was no man, and who is there. And then we went in, and there was a boy of 15, 16 years old, and then he was making Maggie noodles. Can you imagine? It was a small restaurant, and then it was such a good surprise that each one of us binged on the Maggie's noodles. That was the most funny thing. And then one last incident, and I'll stop. And that is, I did my HMI, that is Himalayan Mountaineering Institute, Darjeeling's basic course. I'm glad to say that I did it with A grade. Only thing is, that was my first high altitude trek, 15,000 feet. It was our base camp. And then I was very young, in way back in 69 I did that. And then there we, for the first time, we were exposed to snow and all those things. So we, myself and my partner in the tent, she was all down, she was so sick because of the high altitude. And I didn't remove the shoes also for 24 hours. I didn't remove the shoes because I just couldn't move any limbs. It was so cold. And unfortunately, that first or the second night, I caught up with the frost bites in my shoes. So for
Oh my
next
God.
1 year, my all the fingers, foot was all numb. But Mr. Tensing Norge, who is the HMI, he's the person, Everest person who
Yes.
climbed the Everest
The
first. He
first.
was our, yeah,
Mhm.
he was our first chief instructor. And Colonel Kumar, who just died recently, a great person, he was our principal. So Tensing, I still have excellent memories of him. He used to say that mountains make friends and friends make mountains. So he was so simple a person. He used to go to Himalaya for checking all the virgin peaks, and his dog was there called Tiger. He used to show him the way, and he was so dear to him. So Tenzing was so simple that every day, when I was going through this frostbite thing, he used to come with lukewarm water in a small pitch, and then he used to say, come on, let Rabi Didi, आपको आपके पाँव को मुझे पानी डालना है. I used to feel so bad that he's such a great person and he's helping me this way. I used to say, sir, I'll do it. No, I will do it. So I have written an article also through with the golden moments with Tenzing. In Himalayas, he was a different person. So I'll stop with this. I'm thankful to you that you all gave me an opportunity to revisit all these adventures. Now, I would like to end it with a small thing, and that is 1 minute. Okay, so everyone needs a little adventure in their life. What counts is an adventure up to you. So to be joyful is our birthright, and one can surely derive it from adventures. So I would like to ask you that what was your last adventure, and what could have been an adventure in future? What could be, and what would you like to do or be? Adventures do not need to be costly, and they can be anything. We can start planning, and you can start your new adventure right now. I would like to learn from you also, and you can share it right now if anybody has any questions, or I would like to learn what all the adventures anybody else has gone through. So I'll stop here. Thank you for this opportunity of sharing my thoughts.